Carrollton Mayor and Council Special Call Meeting to order, October 19th, 2017. If you stand for the pledge, I'll lead that. Jim, your invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, and we just thank you, Lord, for all the many blessings of life. We thank you, God, for our city, Lord. We are so blessed, and we just give you all praise, Lord. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together to conduct the city's business, Lord. We lift up the mayor and members of the city council. We ask you to give them wisdom and discernment, God, as they make decisions concerning our city. But we ask you to be with us all. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, we'll ask for approval of the agenda items for consideration.
So moved.
A motion from Councilman Byrd. Have a second. Have a second from Mr. Waters. Roy, I'm sorry.
You're good.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries by any opposed. And it goes to Tim the rest of the time through.
Thank you. The reason for this meeting is mainly to talk about money. You won't be asked to approve anything except the potential for a real estate matter after the executive session, which is the last item. Everything else is just to give you information. I've had a lot of questions from all of you about, can we do this project? Can we do that project? What's that going to cost? We had the fire department audit, and there's a lot of things we want to implement there, and I've had a number of questions about what's that going to cost. And so that's basically what this is about. I asked Mr. Gary Thomas to be here, and I want to thank him again for taking all his valuable time from his work at Tanner. Very busy man there. I very much appreciate him doing this audit for us. I can see a lot of affection for him from our firemen. I would see them meet and call him chief, and so there's a lot of respect there. I really think we picked the right person to do this, and again, I can't thank you enough for that. After we go through that audit and the cost associated with the things that we want to do and that we're recommending to you, we want to go through a lot of different construction projects. When I get to that point, I'm not asking you to approve any of those projects. I'm just asking you to think about what your priorities would be. We are able to fund a lot of nice things in this city, but we can't fund everything that we want. So it's just to give you the information so that you can go away and think about it and call us and decide what you want to see to come back on the agenda to vote on at some point. So with that said, I want to talk a little bit about the audit. Gary and Faith conducted that. She kind of tagged along a part of that. We went through, tried to go through everything that was brought up as a concern. I want to say, and y'all heard me say this before, I've got a son that's a fireman, so I take safety of firemen very, very seriously. Our safety man with this city is Tony Richardson. He's also our ops manager. He's also the fire chief for the 10-shop fire department, which I know you've all heard of. But he is, all joking aside, very familiar with this area of business, and so it's important that I want y'all to know that Faith and Gary tried to interview a large percentage of all the firemen. I think they interviewed 25 people. Then they had basically an open time of a week where if anybody wanted to come forward and say anything, they could do that, and that was basically posted to every fire station. So we want to hear what they have to say. We want to hear their concerns. And Gary came forward with 19 recommendations. There's actually a 20th one that he didn't number, and we want to do all of those. And I have kind of organize those together in a manner that makes sense to me so that we don't have to repeat ourselves over and over again. But I want to start with, maybe if you go to the next slide, two of the recommendations that we've already done. One is that there was a concern that the firemen were having to do too much maintenance on trucks, and that maintenance was being delayed on the repair of fire trucks, and that we should hire another mechanic. This turns out to be something that you had already approved in the budget. We had talked about it in the spring work session. And we hired a gentleman that used to actually work for Gary. Can you give us his name, please?
Kelly Jacobs.
And I've heard nothing but great things about him. Last year, we extended the maintenance bay at Mike Green's shop on Zizix to handle fire trucks. And so Kelly's there, the tools are there, we've got them working, and I'm hearing good things about it. And if we need to do more, we're going to do more, because we want that equipment to be kept in good shape. Well, there was also a complaint about, and if I'm not saying this right, please help me out, that perhaps a 911 call would come in and there was inconsistency between captains about whether they might actually stop trucks before they get to the site to see if they need to roll those trucks out there. And so that was considered a concern, and it might be dangerous, and so that practice has been stopped. Basically, the captains have been told to err on the side of caution and go on and roll to the fire and get to the fire before he stops other engines from showing up. Have I explained that right, please? Thank you. So those two are done. Next item, please, Libby. There's a big concern about air quality in the engine bays. Those trucks run in those bays. I don't think they idle there a lot. They may or may not, but nevertheless, there are at least times that they are running in those bays. If you go to the station on Central Church Road, the guy's gear is literally hanging in the bay with the truck and it running. And so there's concerns about carcinogens getting in the clothes and about the quality of the air. There's concern about their bedding being in lockers and it picking up those carcinogens. And so the first part of Gary's recommendation was that we perform a air quality study. And Tony has already contracted with someone to do that. That will start October 24th. What we think will key off of this, the newer station has fans and filters that turn over the air. We're going to see how well that works. Then we're going to look at whether we want to add that to existing stations, and we are certainly going to have that in the new one where the bid has been let, but we want to know how well it works, and we want to make sure we got filtration and exhaust systems that do the job, that clean this issue up. The second part of this issue will be to make sure they got the right kind of lockers, that we can separate the turnout gear from their bedding, from the pillow they sleep on and their personal equipment like that, so that they're not exposed to that even as they lay down at night. So again, this is a very serious matter, and I can't tell you exactly how we're going to mitigate it, but I can tell you that we're going to mitigate it, and we're going to come back to you if it's a very large expense and ask you to fund it. Next item, please. The SCBA mask, there was a concern that people just need their own individual mask, and we absolutely agree with that. And the people that sell the mask also test, and we want to do annual testing to make sure the masks fit. People can gain weight, lose weight. I guess even the masks are apt to wear over time or degrade. And so we want the people that sell the product to also test them and make sure they're kept up, and we want to do that annually. The cost for these masks is about $18,000, and frankly, that's in the whole scope of things, it's just not that much money. So we are going to ask you to and you will not be voting on that tonight, but we're going to look to Jim to see how the budget's structured and see what we need to come back to you and ask you to fund that. So next item, please. And I may need some help on this. There is an emergency button on the radios that is disabled. There's a concern in using it that it locks out the channel, and it even locks out the county's channel, and it does not have GPS, so it does not tell where the individual is who has hit his emergency button. I think the original intent was a man might be in a fire, might be trapped in a building. If he can reach that button and hit it, he can tell everybody he's in trouble and get help. The problem with the button was, again, that it didn't tell anyone where he is, and it locks out everybody's radio so they can't talk on it. So that's why it was disabled. The new radios that are to come in, as you know, the city and the county, and frankly, when I was working in Douglas County, that radio system, it was all tied together. So, but I know everybody in the county is on the same radio system. These are scheduled to be replaced in 2019. So we will stay after this issue, but right now it looks like the best thing to do is get the newer and best radio when they are replaced in 2019. Wish there was something newer to do with that, but it doesn't look like there is at this point. So, next item, please. It turns out there is a special washing machine for washing turnout gear. They're $10,000. There is a dryer. There are another approximately $10,000. I put another $10,000 in here because it's bound to cost something to install that stuff. I talked to my son in Douglas County. I talked to Gary about Carroll County. Carroll County is spread out over 500 miles. They've got 2 units. 1 unit is probably enough for us. It probably would go in this building where the weight room currently is. And again, I don't know what it's going to cost to hook it up, but we want to buy that. And so, again, we're going to look at whether we need to come back to you to vote on it or not, but I'm just telling you that is an item that we want to buy. The $10,000 for installation is a wag on my part. It may not cost that, but I wanted to have enough in there to do it. Next item, please. The city currently purchases rubber boots for the firemen. We have a policy that if they want to buy leather boots, we will give them the money for the rubber boots. They can pay the difference. Gary's concern was that we had not standardized which leather boot they should buy. And there was a concern that somebody might buy a boot that didn't really meet the standard we want them to meet. So his recommendation was that we settle on a boot that we want this fire department to use if we're going to let them use leather boots. Now, my question for you, and you don't have to answer tonight, is do you want to pay for the leather boots, or do you want to continue the practice where we pay the rubber boot price? Yes, sir.
I want to ask, excuse me, what's preferable to the firefighters? Are rubber boots preferable or leather boots are preferable?
The ones I'm hearing from, the leather.
Okay, good.
But it is
a boots mixture.
But, currently, they're paying the entire cost of the leather boots.
Oh, we're not giving them the stipend?
No.
Oh, well, we certainly want to do that. We certainly want,
So we'll,
that's my
we'll give
mistake.
everybody a pair of leather boots.
Well, if you decide to fund this, we
Yeah.
will. Yes, sir.
Okay.
But at a minimum, if they want leather boots, we would want to give them the money that went toward the rubber. I didn't realize we weren't doing that. So that's something that is no cost to the city for doing
Yeah,
that.
and this may be a micromanaged question, but
Yeah.
would it be by brand or by standard that we make the that they make the recommendation to us about the leather?
I think we would pick a brand. I think we would go through.
It will be by standard, it needs to meet hazmat requirements and
Yeah.
firefighting.
Okay.
We would have to do a certain standard.
But the thing, and this is a discussion again, you, let's say 6 brands meet the standard, are you not going to settle on one brand?
Yes.
I mean, you don't want it all over the place, right?
Something that meets our safety standards.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And again, y'all don't have to decide this tonight, I want you to have the numbers, because they're large numbers, so. And again, the 4,200 a year is, you cycle so much gear out every year, and that's what it's going to cost to replace so many every year, so that they're, there's constantly new boots coming in, so. Next item, please. The Nomex uniforms, I'm hearing this both ways. Some people like them, some people don't like them. And so what Gary had recommended was that we do a wear test with a group of firefighters and just, see if there can be a consensus about this. If we went to Nomex this year, it would cost $37,000. And then again, they're replaced on a cycle. The uniform line item would go up to $68,000, where it's currently $37,100. So that's a $31,000 and change increase per year. But we really just need to run that test that Gary recommended and see if it's what they really want to do. Because it's a fair amount of money, and we hear it both ways. So, next item, please. This is going to piggyback on the air quality testing, and it's what I talked about earlier about the storage of the turnout gear. It doesn't need to be stored where the UV light is on it, where direct sunlight's shining on it, and it also doesn't need to be, the guy doesn't need to have to put his, his nasty, sooty gear in the same locker with his bed sheets and his street clothes and that sort of thing. So, again, we need to find out where we are on air quality, and then there's going to be some changes we would recommend on lockers. The old station, what number is it on Central Church Road? 23. Again, it needs a lot of work, and it needs replacing, and that's an item that's going to come up. The whole station needs replacing at some point. But there's a way to build some enclosures in that for, you know, to get us by if we build a new station there. But anyway, we don't, I guess what I'm saying to you, we don't have a resolution for this yet, but there is a resolution.
Tim, it seems, and maybe I'm wrong,
Yes, sir.
it seems like there should be some national standard or some national trend that we could follow. Like, is there a model that we need to look at, like a neighboring fire department or an outstanding fire department?
Well, and again, I mean, you heard me say, like, this is rated as an outstanding fire department.
Oh, yes,
And
it is,
also
but I'm
one-
saying, is there one that we could go, without running so many tests on air quality, and just copy what they've done?
Well, I think as far as the storage, certainly, but I think we need to do the air test.
Yeah.
So we know that our air filtration's working, or that it's not working, and that it needs to be better. So, next item, please. This is the big ticket item, and this is one we really want to do, and I think it'll do a lot for the fire department. But something Gary recommended, and we agree with, as you know, we had people driving the ladder truck not being paid as drivers. And so, you know, this was to save money years ago. It's something your administration inherited. We appreciate people being money conscious. But we don't have a title of battalion chief. They've even got battalion chiefs in little old Heard County. And so what Gary recommended was that these people be promoted into the job they're running, that if they're driving a truck, they get the driver engineer pay, that the person over the ladder company would be a captain level person, and that the person that's functioning as captain now would actually be battalion chief, and people would have to bid on these jobs and apply on these jobs. They would not be automatic promotions. So again, it says supervisor would be battalion chiefs. On duty shift strength for all engine companies should include a lieutenant, driver, engineer, and 2 firefighters. The only on-duty shift strength for the ladder company should include a captain, driver, engineer, and 2 firefighters. That pay increase for all that is about $130,000 a year. So that is your big ticket item for this audit. So, next item, please.
On this one, does this include increases for any EMT training and things like that?
Did it, guys?
No, it was.
So folks that are getting their EMT training and some CPR and other things like that do take more than just, you know, a class or two, is that isn't currently built into this?
No, it's not. And a lot of those things are required to do the job. They're not extra achievements. There is a couple out there that could be that may warrant a pay incentive. It's not included.
So both EMT and CPR are required to do the job or required to move up?
They're not required to move up now.
Okay.
But it's a big part of what we do. And we made a way that we want to go to EMT school free of charge. And they're already doing that as being provided to them. It would not be something extra.
So anybody can start EMT
Yes.
and complete it, and then the reward is that they're getting paid for it, but there's no reward for completing it, is that correct?
If y'all would like for us to look at that,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll
certainly do
definitely
that.
look at it.
We'll absolutely do that. There's a lot of demand for firefighters out there, and again.
What I would hate to do is see us train them, get them the certifications that they need, and then they jump ship. We need to be rewarding those people for putting in that extra work.
That works for me. Next item, please. There was a concern about physical fitness. We've got this new fitness center, you know, in the building behind here on the second floor. The bottom line is we're going to make that available. We're going to make time available for them, and we're also going to do an annual physical fitness test on everybody. It's just something we're going to implement. We're going to implement it in the very near future. So, next item, please. All right, this just absolutely needs to be done. It turns out Fire Station 23, and again, it's the one near Central High School, it actually belongs to the county. It's on county property, but we man it. This station needs to be on 27. what the mayor and I have talked about, and Chief Beard and I have talked about, is going ahead and finding the property in the next year or so, and then including this in the next SPLOST. There are several parcels that will be good spots for this, and I won't go into them publicly because the price will go up if I do that, but estimated costs on the parcels, based on what I'm seeing land prices, is $300,000. And then the estimated cost on building the station, obviously we just opened bids on one at right under $1.5 million, so I added some inflation. That may not be enough, but again, this will be a SPLOST expenditure, but I'm sure that old station was great when it was built in the 70s. You know, I'm old enough to remember when we didn't even have a volunteer fire department, and then they put up, you know, pole barns and metal siding and, you know, military trucks with water tanks. So I'm sure it was great for the time, but it is terrible now. And that's going to be our last holdout of a bad station. You know, where the tornado hit the other one on Columbia, and you know, that'll be a beautiful station when it's done. The one here is great, and then obviously the one on Northside Drive is great. So again, you don't have to decide on this now. At some point over the next year or so, I may be coming to you to purchase a piece of property. So next item, please.
You're saying next year, 12 months starting from today, not next fiscal year. You're talking about.
I was thinking in the next 12 months,
Okay.
but there's nothing magic about
okay.
that. I'm just trying to tie it up before it gets away from it. There are several spots out there that would work, so.
Is this on 27 South? you
Yes,
think?
sir.
Below the bypass or?
Below the bypass, yes, sir. Next item, please. This one is one, there was some concern about, we run new tires on the front of the truck and recaps on the back. And looking at it, we really never had any failures. And there wasn't a huge concern amongst the interviews. There was, you know, some mention, but it wasn't a large number. So again, Gary's recommendation was just kind of keep doing what we're doing, but watch it close. And if it had been a problem, we'd say let's go to new tires, but it's just not one that has been a problem. But you know, it's the kind of thing we need to hear, we need to check into. So next item, please. All right, this is kind of a whole culture that we want to change. Any employee, not just firemen, but any employee have got to have access to HR. And so we want to make sure they know they do. And I mean, we don't want to hear things that are not necessary for us to hear, but it's just a part of safety and a part of people's well-being and their mental well-being that they have access to HR. The HR is the advocate for the employee. If it's serious enough, I want to hear it. I want them to have access to me, and Tony's in here because he's our safety man. If it's a safety issue, they can go to Tony. So we just kind of want to make sure our culture changes where we're open to that. Again, these are things that Gary recommended, and I very much appreciate it. But the communication, the meetings, we just want that to be better. And we want people to feel like if they got a problem, they can bring it forward and they can express it. The promotional process is something that Faith's been talking to, I know, Cobb County and some of the other fire departments, and comparing that to ours and make sure we're doing that the right way. So this isn't an item that costs you a lot of money. This isn't an item where I can tell you exactly what we want to do yet. I just want to tell you it's a cultural issue. I think that's been a part of our problem. I think we got a fantastic fire department. But I think that's been a part of the issue, is maybe people didn't feel like they could be heard, and we want to change that. And that I won't go through each one of these things, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. Next item, please.
I got some questions.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to ask Gary some questions, actually. All right, so we've got about 20 recommendations for various different things, equipment to promotions to this whole area here. In your experience in different organizations and different, you've been to Carrollton County, would this be something, this sort of an audit with this many recommendations, would this be something that you would see from a highly rated fire department, like what ours is considered?
Yes, sir, because I think inherently the problems that you see with
municipal operations, government operations are not really a problem, but governments have to balance where their expenditures go. And the best example I can give you of that is my experience. For years, Carroll County, hands down, had excellent equipment, but the salaries weren't where they needed to be. And so you'll see organizations that spend a lot of money and try to get the salaries where they need to be, but they not be able to get the equipment where it needs to be. And so if you do an evaluation like this on any fire department, you're going to find some things that could be improved and that need to be improved. And you have to balance those improvements against what funds are available and what you have available to use. These items here, the better communications, promotion, evaluation process, a fire department organization has to be what a lot of people use the term paramilitary. If an officer on a fire scene tells those firefighters, we've got to go in and do this, that can't be questioned. They've got to go in and do that job. And so it's hard sometimes for fire departments to balance that with the way society has moved today, where everybody wants to be informed and everybody wants to ask questions and everybody wants to be part of the process. And so you see fire departments all across the nation going through this process now, trying to balance those two, where you maintain chain of command and have that chain of command operate properly on an emergency scene versus the day-to-day operations when everybody comes together and tries to figure out the best way for that fire department to function. That's kind of it in a nutshell of the struggle. So where your department's struggling, you might not see some departments struggle in that area, but you definitely would see other departments struggle in that area just because of this process and the way our culture as a whole, not just in public safety, but as our culture in a whole is changing.
So just to clarify, what I'm hearing you saying is we are kind of operating on the field, out in the field in a similar sort of manner back in the stations as well, that it's more of a rigid, here's what's going to happen and you've got to do what you got to do.
Yes, sir.
So in terms of that, you're recommending we need to shift from that sort of a leadership style to a culture and within the fire department, which may then turn into a shift in leadership style.
Let me just give you an example that I put in the report.
Just finish up. Just to make sure that I'm clear, or hearing what you're saying. That leadership and culture would have to shift from the same sort of thing out in the field. You'd have to have two different styles. Is that correct?
You have to in today's fire department. To give you an example of that, previously, you might have a decision that's made completely by the fire chief and given to the captains, and that captain goes down to the firefighters, and it's kind of unquestionable. That's the direction we're going to go. One of the recommendations I've made here is that Chief Bearden and the captains have some additional meetings and seek some additional input from the line firefighters and spend some time getting the concerns of the line firefighters and then taking that information. The decision is still ultimately by the fire chief. You can't have a fire department operate that's run totally by the people in the field. The fire chief has to be in charge and make that final decision. But we can reach out and seek some additional input when things come up and when we're going to make. An example of that is the wear test. The firefighters we interviewed were split almost 50% on Nomex and polycotton, which is what they wear now. The best way to evaluate that is let the firefighters who are going to be going in the fires and who wear that uniform every day, put that uniform on and wear test it. Get an identical set of firefighters, and I say firefighters because you don't want to compare a captain wearing Nomex to a firefighter wearing polycotton, because the captain's most of the time going to stay outside the fire. You want them to test identical and look at that uniform, see how long it lasts, and let them give that input. And then let the final decision be made at the fire chief level. Did that answer it for you?
I think it gave me a clearer understanding of what you're recommending in terms of this, because there is a lot.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot in this. It's not just shifting one or two things at a time.
That's correct.
It's like you said, a culture shift.
It is.
That you're recommending.
It is,
Change here.
and it's a culture shift that you're seeing in the fire service across the nation.
Okay. Thank you.
And I want to stress, I'm not wanting to shorten the discussion on this. I want to make sure, the question I'm getting on is, what do we need to buy, what do we need to spend? And this is going to take some time to figure out how to do this. So we're just not quite there yet. We want to move on it, we want to move on it quickly, but that may be another discussion you want to have. That may be another meeting you want to have at some point. So, next item, please, Libby. This is your, basically the bottom dollar on, for all of this for this year. Which is, just under $200,000. Well, I guess it's 65 on the pay increases. It would only be for 6 months this year. So whatever that adds up to, $150,000, something in that range. And again, I just need you to think about that and see what you're willing to fund and what you're not. Obviously, the boots is something we could let the firefighter pay the delta on if you choose to do that, or it's something we can fund ourselves. I think the SCBA mask we need to do, the washer dryer we need to do, and I'd really like to do something with those pay increases and even more, the things you suggested. It's a very competitive market for these guys, and as Rory wisely put, we want to keep them.
How many people have we lost this year? I know a couple people went to Cobb County recently, right?
Yeah, 4 openings, yeah.
Okay, now, I was under the impression it was just a washer and it was a hang dry, so do we really need a dryer too?
Yeah, it would take so long to dry the gear just hanging with ambient air. It does include a dryer, and this is a rack type dryer, it's not your conventional closed dryer. You can hang all your turnout gear, pants, coat, boots, gloves, helmet, everything on there to dry forward at the time.
Chief, how are you currently drying those things?
Hang them up, let them
Okay.
air dry.
And what, based on the recommendations of your firefighters and you, what priorities do you see up there that we need to address first? And is that in the order of the priorities that you have?
In my opinion, the pay and job increases would be the first thing, the air mask, the washer, dryer, and the boots.
And then the boots last. Okay.
And I think these are 4 top priorities right now.
So are we at the end of the presentation?
For the fire department, yes, sir. We've got a lot more to go through, though.
Well, I like that this is streamlined now versus just being all over the place. And I like that we can see the needs of the fire department. Well, my question is, did we miss anything? Are there additional needs that the firemen have that aren't up there? And have they been given ample opportunity to express those needs to us?
I would hope so, with interviewing 25 and
Yeah.
opening it to anyone who wanted to talk. I would certainly hope so. But I think in the future, we want to have an open chain of communication.
I didn't hear anything in my personal visits with the fire department and all the shifts, other than what's been presented in Gary. And I kind of confirmed on that mostly. When Gary and I first got together, I said, let me go through my list, and you add what I'm missing, and we were pretty much both right on target with what everybody was talking about there.
Okay, so this pretty much is all encompassing then of everything that they've asked for. Well, if they feel confident and everybody feels confident, I'm confident in moving forward.
Okay, Libby, if you would put up then the construction projects. And again, this is not to ask you to fund these. There'll be a couple I'm going to ask you to. Thank you, Gary, so much for being here. Appreciate it so much.
And thank you firefighters for your service to our community. Thank you all.
Again, this is not, there's some order to this, but it's not, as we get on into the smaller projects, they're not necessarily any order. But I just want you to know the amount of money we're talking about spending, and we can afford some of this. We can afford some of it now. I just need you guys to just kind of go away and stew and think about what you want, what's most important to you. So Libby, if you throw the first one up, this is the Bankhead corridor. There's been so much talk about. We had a public meeting about it Tuesday night. The estimate numbers we got from George and West. Did John Bass come in?
I think he's on.
Okay, that's fine. It's no big deal. Luke's here. When they give us an estimate, it's usually a little bit high, and we like that, then there's no surprises, but I think his estimate on this corridor is $3.2 million. You know, there's a lot of banter back and forth about what we want to do with lanes and this and that. I really prefer tonight not to get into design and traffic. I just want to tell you that, you know, this is a project a lot of y'all have worked hard on, and again, I just want to tell you the cost is probably $3.2 million. And frankly, if you want to move ahead with this, we can afford it. Now, we won't be able to afford the rest of the things we're going to talk about, but not immediately, but it's something we can actually afford. So next item, please. I want to talk about 3 Greenbelt spurs. One is from Tanner. Let me see. This is Dixie Street. This is the hospital. Tanner is going to pay for that blue section. And they're going to put that in. I met with Lloyd Howard and Bill Hines the other day. They would like for us to consider in some form or another running a Greenbelt spur from there along Cliff through their walking park up to Lucille in front of the kitchen supply store and across the railroad to that parking lot. So
Not gonna do the wooden bridge.
no, not it. This actually lays better, and you can blame John Bass if you don't like the design. But he designed most of the Greenbelt, so I got to say he probably knows what he's doing.
We did look at the wooden bridge at some
Yeah,
point, and
yeah.
this is a better layout.
So the cost estimate's $500,000 to $700,000. Again, not asking you to vote on it tonight. Just know about it. Just have that number in your head.
Quick question, how many residents are right near there that would connect to?
Very few.
That's what I was, why is there, I understand who's demanding it. What's the reasoning?
There's
Or
about
not demanding,
5,000
request.
jobs that you're connecting downtown to, right there. So it's not just residents, it's also jobs. So there's a ton of jobs in that corridor.
So people are gonna bike and then bike down the spur and bike into, you're saying 5,000 jobs, I don't know what that means.
Southwire sitting over there.
Southwire and Tanner, actually, they both have a huge employment base. And there's more than just them, but, you know, you do have residences, but you also will have people that on their lunch break will come into downtown. They also, a lot of times I'll run on my lunch break, and I go this direction, and you'll see people out on the Greenbelt that have on their tags, so I know they're employees of either Southwire or Tanner. And so it will get use. But that's one of the things that we would like to see. I mean, when we were planning the Greenbelt and building the Greenbelt, the thought that would be that we could eventually have these spokes coming in. And so when you're looking at, you'll see another one here in a minute, but you're looking at them from basically, you know, the north, the south, the east, the west. And it just kind of provides a spider web of connectivity. So I think you'll see it get a ton of use.
Just a comment about Dixie Street, and I know we spend a lot of money on sidewalks, and I know that some of the money's gone on Dixie Street, but the sidewalks on that street are very narrow, or at least they were last time I ran it. Like we fixed most of the roof bumps and things like that. But if you wanted to go from Tanner or Southwire to the square and take Dixie Street, it's really not very even pedestrian friendly, much less bike friendly. So there's not a good way to get there. This would be, I'm not saying I'm for it, I like what I see, but this is much better than what we got now, which is Dixie Street.
Well, I know we need to move on. I'm just curious. I sit in my office all day long, so I'm not out and about. But when I do drive down Dixie, I don't see that many people walking on the sidewalks. Now, maybe they're there, and that's what I'm asking. But I mean, do you think we're really going to have this use? I mean, is there that much use on Dixie Street of people walking back and forth and
Can I
riding
just say
bikes?
something about that?
Sure.
I think, because I don't think looking at how many people are there is indicative of how many people will actually use it.
If you build it, they will go.
A lot of, there weren't people walking and biking as much as they are before the Greenbelt since it's been built. And I think, again, I think that's just more of culture sort of talk rather than this specific project sort of talk, that that there is a shift going towards that throughout the town, and I think they will show up as soon as there's an infrastructure thing for them to be able to utilize.
We haven't poured a piece of trail that's not been pretty popular. I will say that. I mean, we've had, we get good usage throughout the trail. You can track it using some of the GPS systems that people use to run with. And then also we're able to track it with our bike share system as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we're getting about 2,000 rides a month, which is more than the city of Atlanta gets in their bike share system. That tells you just kind of how popular this product is and this product type is.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying if somebody's using it for their lunch break and you're walking from Southwire, I mean, that would take you 15, 20 minutes, I would imagine, to get to the square. And then you turn around, that's 40 minutes out of your hour lunch break. I just would think people get in their cars and drive, is my point.
Right.
That's just one example. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I would tell you, this is not about saying you ought to do this project. I just think this city really can afford to do this kind of thing periodically, and I think all of this stuff can eventually be built. Y'all just need to decide the order. I mean, what I'm hearing out of most of y'all, and I think certainly what I'm hearing out of you, Matt, is do Bankhead first.
I haven't said that yet.
Well, anyway, you certainly have a lot of interest in it. And so I guess what I want to say to y'all is there may be some of the projects we're going to present tonight that you don't ever want to do, but most of these you can eventually do. The city can afford it. And I'm not talking about borrowing any money. I'm talking about eating this elephant one bite at a time. This is about thinking about what your priorities are and if there are other projects you'd rather do. So.
One thing to think about too, I know we consider this a good bit is leverage. I mean, if Tanner's willing to do part of it, you kind of take that opportunity. I'm not telling you which one to do, and this may not necessarily be the one that you guys choose to do, but it is nice to have help with funding. And if they're going to build some of it, that's making your money go a lot further. And so that was always important to us when we were building the trail. I'm looking at John because I spent 5 years with him, I think, more than with my family as we were building the original loop. But we always looked at that. How can we leverage what we're spending and make more out of it? And so that's just something to think about. You've got an entity that's willing to put some money in the game. So.
But if they're willing to do it today, they're probably going to be willing to do it 5 years from now, don't you think?
I don't know. I don't speak on their behalf.
Yeah. So if they help, I mean, I may have missed that part of the conversation, but what percentage of the 500 to 700,000?
Well, none. They're willing to build this.
Just that little strip.
Yeah.
So that 5 to 7 is
this section.
minus.
Backward L.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that is a section that they're already redoing currently.
Correct.
Okay, so they're just putting up a new sidewalk or a wider sidewalk in front of their facility?
It'll be a green belt width over there.
It's gonna come at the same time that the new building goes in, isn't it?
It's about to kick off, isn't
Yeah.
it? Don't you think?
I think all that's neat and fun, but I think there's more worthwhile projects that we need to work on.
That's
just my take on it.
That's what this conversation's about.
Yeah.
Next one, please. I'm just showing you 3 spurs. You don't have to do any of them, but this is the Rome Street spur. Been a lot of talk about it, a lot of interest. It'll go by the new library, and it's $1 million. We've done a little section of it up to Williams. Again, just something for you to think about. Next one, please.
Which side of the road is that going to be on?
It'll be on the same side that the existing Greenbelt is. So it's going to be on the east side, yeah.
But there's a sidewalk there. Am I missing it? So nobody's using the sidewalks? They have to have a green belt?
It's actually not, I think for bicycle
I'm just
traffic.
curious.
No, I think for bicycle traffic, you're going to want the green belt.
green belt.
No, Jim, I guess I am being kind of a smart aleck, but I mean, me and my children, we ride on the sidewalks all the time. And if people come, we just scoot over in the grass, keep riding on the sidewalk.
Right. It's really, I will never say, I will ride on the sidewalk occasionally. I will never publicly encourage people to do it because it's actually very unsafe.
And illegal.
And illegal, yeah. But the reason why I would even say.
Well, police officers have never pulled me over.
They've done, but the same thing, you've got an opportunity to connect the north side to downtown. One of the things that we hear constantly is why can we not connect downtown to the Greenbelt? So with that said, we need to pick a place. you know, how are we going to connect? This one right here would get a large amount of usage. This one is not jobs that it connects to. This is actually more
Houses,
residential.
yeah.
So, you know, pick your, you know, your preference.
What would be the proposed width on this, Erica? Because it's going to be getting it back into people's.
No, we wouldn't need any right of way. What we would do is the same treatment that we did on Rome Street in front of kind of Oaklawn Farms. And so we basically took the existing road width and narrowed it up and gave it a road diet to slow traffic down, which has been very effective on Rome Street. And the width of the side path would be 10 feet. So it's a little narrower than the main line, but it's certainly efficient and sufficient for what we would need.
So just be clear, if we did this, I've heard a lot of comments about traffic speed on Rome Street.
Right.
Putting in a greenbelt spur along here would greatly reduce traffic speed, similarly to the way it's been done further down on Rome Street. Would that be?
That would certainly be the intention. I mean, you've got, it's been effective on Rome Street. We did it, gosh, it's been probably, what, 2 years, I guess, now that piece has been in? Or a year and a half? I'm losing track of time. But we've seen, you know, I feel like, just from my own personal experience, I feel like the traffic is going slower, and I feel like it was very well received by the neighbors. I get to talk to a lot of the neighbors when we're doing the Greenbelt, and that was one of their big
How much would we cheap back into the road on this?
It would just be just like William Street is. I mean, John, you've done the concept on it. It would look, the road width would be very similar to
How
what
much,
we've
how
done
much
from
would it
William
cheap
to.
back into the road?
It's a 30-foot road, with cheat in 6 foot, make it 24-foot road.
What do you say?
It's no DOT roads, they make their roads real wide.
Because down here where the 5 new houses are going, they got that concrete wall up.
Yeah, it's tight through
It's gonna
there.
be
So
tight.
that's why we really want to pull that road in, because that gives us the full footprint that we need with minimal work into their yards.
So largely it would be to where the sidewalk is already,
Yeah.
into the
So
road.
it has a greenbelt.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be
straight
eating into
traffic.
anybody's yard. Okay.
A little bit there.
So then we would just have, we'd have to curb and gutter and.
On Maple Street.
Tear out
CVS
part of
and all
the
that.
gutter in,
You know,
pay the water path.
it's
not
doing a
bad.
bunch of things, not just.
I've heard a lot of people chatter about not just traffic speed, but connecting from downtown to Hobbs and a lot of the residents up to the square. And if it reduces traffic speed as well, because that has been, I get a lot of calls, and if anything that I can do to help reduce traffic speed in that area, I'm happy to push for it.
That and the new library is going to make this just another one of those places you want to be, you know, kind of a happening area, so.
We get a lot of conference traffic in downtown now because of the hotel. And this right here, I think, would be a great carrot to use to get more of that traffic. One of the things that, one of the biggest complaints we get, I feel like, is it's hard to get, they're staying at the Marriott, for instance, downtown. They still have to get in their car to go to Greenbelt. And it would be really nice for them to just hop over off of Johnson onto Rome and shoot on up to the Greenbelt. So, I mean, obviously, there's going to be some effects that aren't direct, you know, to even the citizens. It might be tourists that would also enjoy it, so.
And how far up does that go? Or are we talking about into the square, or right at the South Fire parking lot, or the city parking lot? That's
Firehouse.
We basically looked at stopping it on the north side and the south side for both of the spurs you just reviewed. Part of it is the square is another a burden for another day, I guess, to talk about. But we don't want to interfere with, you know, the activity that's going on there, and that gets us close enough to where, you know, we can have some bicycle parking, possibly a bike share station, something like that.
Next one, please, Lou. I was surprised at the cost of this, and John can address it, but this is a spur from up South Street from the college all the way to basically Bradley. We used to think this one would be cheaper. Can you tell me why it went up this high?
Well, I'm using what current pricing, the most current pricing we have available on the trail project. There's a leg of that South Street that is going to be pretty expensive because one section we would cut the road down to 24 foot again to make room for it between West Georgia and North Thurston Street. And then from there to Maple, the road's pretty narrow and it's in need of, new curb and gutter. Utility poles are in the way. There's a good bit of work with getting the trail through that. Just the footage being 5,700 feet
Gotcha.
worth of trail, it's kind of heading up there. This is preliminary, so, there's a lot of guessing
Right.
to get to that number, so I would be hopeful if we get in there and get the design, we can find ways that kind of limits the scope and gets the project cheaper.
But this will dead-headed Lucille tied in with the hospital trail, right?
Right.
Yes, since the estimate was already figured in the spur up to the train depot parking lot, I didn't double count the price.
I got a question. I know there's been chatter about Maple Street versus South Street. I'm assuming cost is probably significantly less this way? Would that be
Maple
true?
Street would be more expensive, but it'd also be a lot more hazardous. I don't think it would be used as much,
Okay.
and I think it would be more of a public safety issue.
More similar to what we talked about on Bankhead? You don't want a
You got
trail?
so many curb
Okay.
cuts down through there, there's just too much going on. I think you're better off with bike lanes on Maple Street if you get.
And sidewalks and things.
This gets biked a lot already, so I think this one will get a lot of use. I'm not saying you want to do it, but it gets biked a lot.
That's the road I used to take.
Where in the world is that?
It's just right there,
Yeah, we
south of
looked at
Maple,
Maple.
right there at the liquor store.
When I
Right
worked
there,
with the
dead middle.
nonprofit, when we were building
Going
the
back
trail,
to the
we looked at
college.
both of them.
On the
This
back
one
way,
was
or
the-
you
the
pass all
curb
those
route.
apartments.
Yeah, across the apartments, you got the
Maple's
whole
just-
park.
Got
field
it.
right
John said
here.
it needs sidewalks, it needs bike lanes,
then
it needs,
right here is 27.
So it goes
a
over
side
or-
path
Goes
that's
goes
not
over 27 at the bridge.
Likewise,
Yeah,
we
deadhead's right
talked
there
about the
where
same thing.
Lucille, big
Not
shot
that
curve on
commercial.
that.
Got you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's kind
There's
of
a
hard
lot
to
of
see
residents
from
over
here.
there.
That's the way I was picking
That'd be
it up.
huge.
And guys, I did not attempt to get any cost estimate on beautification of Maple like it's going to be at Bankhead. I figure that's something that your committee will do. Just know that's something we contemplate at some point, that hopefully if you do the Bankhead beautification, that you'll also do it down Maple, that you'll also do it down Alabama, that you'll do all those corridors at some point. So that, I don't have a slide to present that, but I will tell you, I've got a lot of other projects to show you, but I will tell you, on Maple, we're going to work the utilities over the next year. It'll take a year to get them all done and get them right. Just to pay Maple is about $400,000. It's not nearly as much money as I thought, but if you think you're going to do a beautification project on that corridor, it probably makes sense to wait a couple of years when we can do it right and do all that at once. In other words, not pave it and cut it
Yeah.
open and redo it.
That's
So,
exactly what
I
I
got a
was
question.
thinking.
Since
Yeah.
we're talking about redoing utilities there, is there a way to build in infrastructure to put the power underground for when we want to redo that?
Georgia Power is very expensive.
yeah, we can see, but I don't, they're
Well, like, I don't know what.
They always
very
put the
expensive
conduit
needs.
in already.
Exactly. If we're gonna be redoing it, what would that amount to?
While
While we're doing that
I'll tell you, well,
project.
look at, Tommy's doing it right now on Alabama Presbyterian. He's putting conduits in because he knows poles are gonna be eliminated later. Hey, we'll see. We'll try. It's a good idea, and we'll see if it can be done.
And we'll also have good current cost when Tanner's doing a strip of Dixie, and we can look at their costs so we can have a good, accurate, current cost.
It's also kind of tough to do preliminary wise. You have to get everybody to the table between their cable, power, and AT&T. That's what I've run into even on a small scale. They all have different needs, and when you start sharing a ditch or a conduit, they want to have their separate, you don't want power and the phone coming up in the same manhole structure. So you end up, it takes a lot of preliminary work even to get conduit in there. That's a big part of it. It would be a good thing to do, and not as costly as the power cable and getting everything put in, but it's not as easy as just sticking it in the ground too. That would be good to work toward while we're doing the corridor planning, to try to get the bigger part of it done. And that's kind of what I was tempted to do on Alabama. Is not going to get everything done or the poles gone at the time, but might have to cut the road and make a big mess later.
It's generally a 6-hole box, about 4 feet long, they gotta sit down in and tie all together, pull everything through. And it's all gotta be concreted around and sealed, right? Is it 6 or 12? I mean, it used to be like a 6-hole box, about 4 feet long. They sit down and they pull the cables through. Is that still what?
I think Georgia Power, that size, the AT&T box was maybe 30 by 36. But that's what I mean, you get into the different setups, so they each have to have their own junction box in certain areas. I think if we got the main portion in, it'd be a big savings later on. We can't do that.
Yeah, I just heard expensive. I didn't know what that, that's very subjective, so.
Next one, please, Libby. This is one we've actually got to do. This is Dixie again. This is the hospital. This is a storm drain project, storm piping. The dotted line you see is the storm piping. This is our piping in the public right-of-way. Tanner is taking out this area. They're redoing the sidewalk in this area. We need to replace the piping while we need to coordinate with them. We need to replace this piping. I've talked to their contractor and asked him to give us a price. Chuck and I've got to figure out how to deal with this from a bidding standpoint, because we really don't want another contractor working on top of their contractor. So if there's a legal way to use their contractor, and if he will behave, which I define behaving as give us the right price and not try to gouge us, that would be the smart thing to do. So that's about a $250,000 project to replace all that.
And you're saying we're obligated to this one, right?
The previous administration obligated you, and frankly, I agree with it. And again, this is our pipe.
Yeah.
And we don't want them to pour a new greenbelt or wide sidewalk on top of our old rotten pipe, and then we gotta go dig it up and do something with it. So, it's a lot of money, but it's something we can afford, and we're just gonna have to do it. We just need to do it, so.
That's the section road they're running power underground too, so you want them to stick all the power underground and find out.
Yeah, so, and honestly, guys, we do this all the time with folks. It may not be that much money, but if they're out digging in the ground, they find a utility we've got. If anybody is a developer, whatever, that's a problem, we go fix it. Or we pay them to fix it, because we want quality product in the ground. We don't want to work on it and have failures and collapses and that sort of thing. So, next item, please, Libby. Okay, now we're going to go into some sidewalks. This is the sidewalk that the county, the city, and the county school systems want to do at Central High Road. That's the old Chick-fil-A. This is where I believe it was a student got hit a few weeks ago. It would be a joint venture. The project cost a lot more than $40,000, but our portion would be about $40,000. The county's talking about doing the pipe work and the grading. The school is talking about paying for the crosswalk, the striping, and the signal. It'd be one of those Hawk signals, I believe. One of those battery, not a Hawk, okay.
RFB, it's the flashing one, not the Hawks, the red light.
Oh, okay, it'd be, but it'd be a pedestrian push-button signal there, and then the city would pay for the actual sidewalk. And, it's a good joint venture, and it's just something we need to do. So I, frankly, just think this is something we're gonna have to do, and it's not a huge number, so.
And there's already pedestrian crossings there.
Everywhere, people walking, it's the typical mud path in the grass, and it's students everywhere in the morning, and it just, parents drop them off at Chick-fil-A, and, they eat, they walk to school, and they're in the road, and that kind of thing. Now, this is a good thing to remember when somebody builds a fast food place and they don't want to pay for their sidewalk, though. And I'm not saying that's the case with Chick-fil-A.
Is David Daniels kicking us some money on this?
Well, I don't know.
What's the typical width on this one?
What'd you do?
5.
5 is normal,
Yeah, normal size.
normal sidewalk?
So most of these kids are probably walking 2 by 2 along here, right? 5 foot's a pretty skinny sidewalk.
That's enough.
I can tell you, I've been there, and I didn't even know what was going on. Chick-fil-A is full in the mornings, and at 8 o'clock, they take off down that road. I mean, they're everywhere. They're all over the side of the road. So, I can testing.
I've had a lot of calls about this one.
Yeah.
Well, again, that was not a shot at Chick-fil-A. I just want to say, if y'all get calls from any developer saying, I shouldn't have to pay for this sidewalk, I shouldn't have to pay for this sidewalk, when we don't make a developer do it, we're back eating the cost ourselves. So that's, again, that's not in any way a criticism of Chick-fil-A. They're great. It's just, whatever it is, an oil change place or a McDonald's or whatever, if you get those calls that, they feel like we're being mean to them, it's what needs to be done to make an area safe. Next item, please, Lee. This is the end of the western end of Alabama Street at Columbia Drive. There is a section there that doesn't have sidewalk, and there is already a crossing at the signal, and there are people that walk from that trailer park to the store, and so this is another good one to do. There's a guardrail there. Mike Lawrence owns this spot. There's a guardrail that needs pulling up, and he needs to fill out in level, and I talked to him yesterday about it, and he's would love to do that. And it'll take some DOT permitting, but this is not a huge expense. But this is another one, and you've heard me say it before, you've heard all of us say it, when you see the path where people are walking, that's really where we need the sidewalk, and they're walking this, so this is a safety issue, so.
Where are they going to?
That convenience store, yeah.
Did we not put one on the south side of Alabama Street all the way down?
We got it to here.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay, to the Dollar General?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So do they-
Well, is the roundabout still being proposed?
It is.
Would we,
You'd probably lose that section that you put in.
Do we need to
Not the
put the
whole thing, just a little
roundabout
bit, right?
Right.
in
Yeah.
bef-
A little bit.
do we need to put the roundabout in before we put the sidewalk?
We're not, the DOT's doing a roundabout, so.
How, do you know the timeline on the roundabout?
no.
We don't know the timeline on the roundabout?
Long time.
What do you
We've
think?
been working on Hayes Mill forever.
One foot the grade.
Well, I say let's move with the sidewalk.
I mean, honestly,
Sidewalk anyway.
I consider that the cost of doing business. You're gonna put things in that sometimes, are gonna get replaced later. We're not talking about all of it, we're just talking about a short section that will get
Is there
replaced.
a crosswalk there already?
Yeah.
So they could walk there and cross and get the Dollar General.
Is that lot right there, that's the one that got raised up recently, is that for sale yet?
He will.
And I go home that way. It's very depressing to watch those moms with strollers and moms carrying children and hand in hand through that section in mud when it's raining. They get mud on their legs. It's just a terrible.
It gets used a lot too, doesn't it?
There's people on it right now, I'm sure, if you want to go through. Hundreds, if not probably thousands a week going through them. Because they're walking from that trailer park to the convenience store, and then some are walking down from work down Alabama to home down Columbia. I mean, it's 24 hours a day. When I go home late, they're on it. So
It's just as bad on 27 from the waterworks down to Ingalls Shopping Center.
yeah, it's bad over there too.
I mean, it's a mud path 27 south. Coming
We're
out,
working on a small strip of that, but we need to do a little bit more over there as well.
I mean, coming out the lodge right there at the Family Dollar going toward South Park. I mean, it's just.
And all those motels where they're
Yeah.
living, they're walking there too. And
I've had a lot of people comment about that.
It's bad. That's really bad, but that's bad too.
Those are good points, and those are projects we'll look at in the future. So, next item, please, Lee. This is the section, this is one Sandra Morse keeps calling about. This is, I believe, in your ward, Jim. There's sidewalk up where, whoever that is Mick Conley's representing, I can't think of his name, he wants to buy that is zoned for senior townhouses.
Dave Hoffman?
Yeah, that sidewalk needs to run up and eventually come down and tie to the green belt. And it actually runs all the way to, again, Sandra's senior living center, and it'll get walked. So, again, not saying you gotta do it this week, but it's one that's a worthwhile project that we could budget for one of these years.
Well, I had a call this week about a developer. There's Mr. Brown owns some property down there beside North Point Church. Gonna come see you. I told him he would probably have to work out a deal to work into the greenbelt. It's gonna be a zero to five senior adult living situation. That might be a good one to, if we're gonna have a new housing development down in that neck of the woods, coming back toward the post office.
So in other words, going down.
Well, no, I was talking to him, I said, he was asking how the city would feel about it, and I said, well, as long as you tie it back in, you have to got some kind of deal to tie it back in the greenbelt to get them in there. Just told me that he come see Erica.
Are you talking about the property to the west of the Greenbelt?
It's gonna be east, I think. He said it joined on the North Point Ranch, or North Point Church.
Yeah, I know the church is east. I'm just trying to figure out, it's not owned by North Point?
No, he said that Brown's Pools, man, owned the acreage right in there. I was a little bit lost myself, so.
Farmland just to the west of the green line, the cleared area. I know they had some interest in some of that property.
And Mr. Golden's got this other piece coming on up to Burns Road. I didn't know that the Brown's Pool gentleman actually had that property.
Yeah.
Kent Brown.
Yeah,
Yes, so that is the pasture area to the west of the trail there.
okay.
That butts up to the North Point Grand.
Yeah, they did a development plan before the economy crashed.
Yeah.
And it was small lot, alley loaded. I think it was all detached. I don't remember them being detached. But it was a kind of a traditional neighborhood style kind of design neighborhood, and I think they got caught up in the economy crash. Last I heard, I thought Kent had left, he moved, I thought, but maybe not. It was that.
It'd be great if you put it up on the road, and so we didn't have to pay for it.
Well,
Connect to it.
I mean, it was kind of explained to me, he's probably got to figure out some kind of way to tie it into the grain belt to get everything going in. But I don't know how much of it I don't know how much he fronts on Cedar Street.
Gosh, John, y'all did that plan? You remember it was a long time ago. Maybe 2007, I think. I think it was right around that time. So I don't remember the frontage. It doesn't go all the way. Golden owns the corner. He owns the kind of that brick office building. I think it's for sale. I don't know. He owns both. Actually, he owns the south side of Cedar too.
I'd say that vertical tree line in the photo is pretty close to where the property is, just roughly. But that's just guessing.
And if we could get the developer to cut in that little section from the grain belt up to his property deal. And then the only thing we had to pick up was from the townhome projection back to him. I would cut that number in half.
That's a good
Sure
idea.
would.
Good idea.
Sure would.
I mean, if we could push that through planning and zoning, and when it comes up or something, it was.
Well, I mean, it's a timing thing. It's when we wanna see it done. But I mean, we would require it. It wouldn't even be something that we would ask them to. We would require it as part of the development if it wasn't already there. I can tell you the development that's a little further down. That's the townhouse, senior townhouse. It's what, 53 units? 52. That's gonna come along a lot faster. I mean, did they get the permit check, Tommy?
Was it 65 plus?
And y'all, I'll tell you what we'll do. Again, I know it's a lot to absorb. I don't have packages for you, but we will put together packages of all this for you and send it to you. And you take your time, think through it and flip, figure out what you want, and say, this is my priority, and the other one say, that's my priority, and we'll try to budget accordingly. So, or I don't want to do this one at all, whatever, so. Libby, next item, please. Old Bremen Road sidewalk. This is one near and dear to Mr. Bird's heart. There are a lot of people walking from 12 for Life, which I think is right there, down to that corner to that grocery store. And I'm going to let John explain this because I think he made the call to run it on up to Beulah and to put it on both sides. Go ahead and talk about that, John, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, you see how far from 12 for Life to the gas station you got to go. And there's a good bit of multifamily on Beulah Church. So I thought that the incremental cost increase to bring it up to Beulah Church would be well worth the money spent. And then closer to the convenience store, there's a set of apartments on the north side of Old Bremen Road where that red line above the road starts.
Hidden Creek.
There's a good bit of foot traffic from there going down to the store as well, so it's really not conducive for them to cross the road right there. it'd be a good idea to have a sidewalk on both sides of the road for that section.
Is that where's the big culvert?
Right about there.
Just to-
Right in there?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's why you stopped there, was the culvert?
No, we gotta cross it, it's right here.
Oh, okay. All right.
So these apartments here, actually, when I was out there looking at that, I saw a guy walking down the street on that side.
Bobby Stewart commented from J. Smith and Aaron, said everybody cuts in right there where you got to stop, and you cuts to their parking lot to come back into 27. He was asking about, everybody's going towards shopping, everybody's going to Ingalls. We're trying to tread that way from Wood Glen Apartments. I like the idea that you going up to Wood Glen Apartments, picked up that. But
There needs to be sidewalk all the way down to, I'd say, even below the Eagles.
yeah, I mean that's where the mud trail runs, is from there all the way to the bridge at the Waterworks.
Yeah, you got Dollar General and the two motels right there.
I would like to see all of that connect at some point. And I want to ask too about the, we almost all need a laser pointer, but the subway, thank you very much. And I may be in the wrong section, Tim, but is it the subway somewhere right here?
It is.
And they're walking from here to these areas. I'm sure those Central High School students are walking the subway the same way they are to Chick-fil-A. So currently, how do they cross this? You just make a run for it to get across the street?
Yep.
Can we maybe put in a crosswalk there too? But then what we have to put in a light? Or how do we remedy that problem right there?
I don't know,
I like
DOT
those.
would let us just put a mid-block crosswalk
Mhm.
through there. That would require a signal in my mind, Tommy.
That's already a pretty dangerous intersection, right?
Oh,
Then
it's scary right
like,
there.
People try to cut left out of the, or turn left into the subway coming south on 27 and try to turn left out of subway.
And it's so confusing, Rory, right there. And when I'm right there, I don't know what to do. I'm like, wait, what am I supposed to do?
You're not supposed to turn left.
You're not supposed to turn left.
No.
Out of the subway.
No.
No. You're supposed to turn left off 27 going up there.
I get confused when I'm coming from Ingalls going back home that way. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get right here. There's something about that, and I just don't like. It just seems too entangled, or maybe it's just me.
Okay, Libby, next one, please. All right, I just put this in here. I know you're not ready to do it, but just, there's a potential for Cedar Street calming. I know there's a lot of folks over the different opinions. I'm just letting you know it's sort of like a Burkdale project, and the islands will work, but whether the neighbors want it or not is another matter. So we don't have to spend a lot of time on it.
And I met with them, or we all met with them recently about just trying to figure out how to fix, because right now, Bankhead, the way that right-hand turn lane dumps onto Cedar, they've seen increased traffic, and we're trying to figure out how to address it. This was one example that's similar to what they did in Burkdale,
Well, there's 35 residents out there, and I think I talked to 30 of them that just did not want the curb.
Yeah, exactly. So we're trying to figure out what would work that would then, that they would like, and that, finding one thing.
One time they said they want some flashing lights with speed limits on them. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
I
well,
think-
work on them, but we put some up.
Yeah.
You're spot on there. It'll work about 2 months.
Yeah, and then they get used to it, and people just go right back to doing it. We need to figure out some kind of way to camerize what we got and start giving tickets.
But didn't we determine that wasn't legal? I thought.
In Georgia, it's not illegal.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, just like Hayes Mill, I go up and down it twice a day, and when the college comes back in town, it goes back to 55. I mean, each time you leave Maple Street, each time you get to Governor's Court Apartments, if you're just gliding over the hill, you're running 35, 40 miles an hour if you're not even mashing the gas. So, the time they get down to Hayes Mill Overlook, it's 55, and hold on for your life. Coming out. It's crazy, but the lights just don't work.
Next one, please.
Except for a couple months.
Okay, now, these are all over the College Street area, and, John, you're just gonna need to explain where they were. I don't remember which ones had to go on the street, which one were gonna go where existing sidewalk was.
Yeah, this one is,
from Brown to White, to West White?
So College Street School, the county offices are right in this corner, and there's the library. This is Brown Street coming across. So there's some sidewalk up through here that goes to East Chandler Street. It's butted up against the curb line. There's utility poles. They're in the way of the sidewalk, and just section of sidewalks kind of bowing up and all. So really, to get this section to usable state, one of the suggestions was to take out that and move it back away from the curb line to get out of the poles. So that's what this proposal is showing, is that would come out and be replaced there. And then from East Chandler all the way up to West White Street, that new sidewalk, there's nothing there today.
So you gonna propose to leave grass between the sidewalk and the curb?
Yes.
And then,
pull the sidewalk away from the curb.
then who's gonna be responsible for maintaining that, like we did on Hayes Mill and nobody wants to cut it? So.
I think most people.
Everywhere else, the property owners
Just
have
do it.
just move it, maintain it.
We actually found something in the ordinance the other day says they have to do that.
Yeah, they're required to.
Mhm. Actually, Kyle found it.
So I used to live right around here, and I used to walk up and down this road with a stroller or a dog or kids, and that people come down here, and this is where the hill is, and they just start speeding down. You have to jump out into the people's yards to get out of the way. I've heard a lot of people continue to say that they want to get into town or get out of where they are without having to get into a car, and that's been something that now walking around door to door again, they still want that connection point.
Well, this is not an insurmountable number. When we start talking about West White, we're gonna be at an insurmountable number, but this is not an insurmountable number. I didn't fall out of the chair when he showed me this one, so it's probably doable.
It's a good project.
Yeah, I hear a lot of that.
That's what they want. Pretty good collector for all the smaller residential streets that spur off of it, so seems to be a pretty good project.
Let's see West White.
All right, next one, please. Section on Brown Street doesn't have sidewalk. Go ahead, sorry, John.
There's just a block there that's missing sidewalk up to Stewart Street. Now getting across Stewart Street may be the caveat there. It's that good through, we need to do a line of sight study on that and make sure that we could feel comfortable having a mid-block there.
So that's just gonna dead head into Peachtree Street?
Stewart.
Stewart Street. This is Stewart Street right here.
Okay.
And there's sidewalk on the east side of Stewart Street.
Okay, next one, please. This is Stewart from the store up to the bypass.
So you've got all those apartments. What is it? What are those? Paradise, and there's another one there as well. They're already walking up to that other gas station. It's a bigger convenience store up there, and they're just walking in the street because there's a gutter there, right?
Yeah, and there's a deli in there too, so it's probably attractive.
Yeah, because I live right around there.
But the signalized pedestrian crossings are already at the intersection,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that intersection has crosswalks with signals on all four corners right now. And Northside Drive has sidewalks on both sides.
Yeah, there's a goat path or whatever you call it right there. So.
And again, it's not an insurmountable cost. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not an insurmountable number, so. Libby, if you'd roll back, yeah, 260, so. This one's kind of painful. John, you want to talk about it?
We've got a couple of ideas on this one. This is West White from Stewart Street, it's right here, and then Rome Streets that are here. That's the green belt today. If you've ridden down West White Street, there's a lot of really tight heels that you roll over, limited sight distance on those. So, and looking at that with the walkway, we thought we'd just at least throw it there for y'all's consideration of looking at redoing the street, cutting down those hills, and making better for vehicles, but also for pedestrians.
Is there a sidewalk
And
there right now?
regrading, there's no sidewalk down that whole section.
From Stewart trying to get to the library or, you know, wherever, they have to go up to, typically folks would go to Cedar and up and around, or down to Hobbs and around that way.
So it's a tough project because of the limited right of way and the terrain.
The first time I came to a council meeting was about 8 years ago, and it was because I had a lot of neighbors saying, how do we do this? And that was, I've been trying to figure out how to, and I think the cost back then was significantly less.
Well, it probably didn't cut the road down.
It was probably just a sidewalk.
When you say cut the road down, what do you?
Regrading those parts of the road that have the really tight hills on.
So that's gonna cause us to make some kind of rock wall on the residential sides too, because
I've, you know, in the nearly 17 years I've been here, I've never heard a single complaint about that road. Not to say that they're not complaining about it, but, interesting.
Yeah, that's the one I get complaints about.
Oh, you do get complaints about
All
it?
the time. It is, we've got no way to connect. People do walk on there, and if
Yeah.
you've ever seen somebody walking on there while you're driving, you're either about to hit them or crash into a tree. It is extremely dangerous.
So we're talking about sidewalks on one side, not on both sides?
One side of the road.
If you didn't do the milling and didn't do that part, do you have a cost on that?
Yes, the next one, the other option on this, no, it's not.
I don't think we put it in there.
Okay. Yeah, if we just left the road alone and just patched in a sidewalk where we could.
How much?
No, that doesn't sound right.
Go down that street.
Yeah, I know.
Start tomorrow.
390.
Yeah, so just under 400,000 to go in, because there's a good bit of grading still you have to do, and put in walls on the side of the sidewalk, but you just put in a sidewalk down along, you know, one side of the road, it'd be about 400,000, just estimate.
And again, I hope y'all understand, I'm not suggesting you do all of these. I'm just suggesting that there's a lot of calls, a lot of talk. We want to give you these, you can think about it, and over the years, decide what your priorities and which ones you do want to do and which ones you don't, so.
Tim,
Yes,
we've
sir.
talked about non-sidewalks now. Who decided where to put these sidewalks?
One of y'all called and asked.
Oh, complaints
Yes,
from
sir.
us.
Okay.
Well, from our constituents.
Okay.
I know that's where mine came from.
Same with me.
Yeah.
So, next item, please. This is the infamous one, this is the last one I got on here, to the jail. And, I did, you know, I had told the gentleman, George Linnaeus, that, you know, we would at least look at the cost, and it'd be on some list somewhere, and that's what I'm doing, is saying there it is, so. About a $500,000 project. You know, there it is. You can decide if it's important to you at some point.
This came from me, right? From Mr. Linnaeus a couple years ago.
Yes.
At least it does tie into the green
All the way
belt.
down Old Union Road or Union Road, from the fork in the road,
Yeah,
Bledsoe Street, and it goes over the bypass, right?
Correct. To the jail.
To the jail.
So,
Does it have to go to the jail, or can it go to the technical school?
well, that's what he wanted, was it
To the
go
jail.
To the jail, yes, sir.
Well, what it's
Board of Health.
yeah, the health.
Oh, okay, that
that's
makes
right
sense,
next door.
okay.
But the health, Board of Health is right there on the right beside the jail, where it turns in that little left
I'm
right
like,
there.
how many folks are walking to the jail?
Have you? No. Tim, have you had anybody else complain about walking to the jail?
No, sir.
Rory, have you?
Not in those terms. I'd say it would be more of a connection to the health services, not a walking to the jail sort of request. It would be more connecting that health center space.
That sounds better than just walking to the jail, because I don't want to walk to the jail.
I don't think anybody's saying, can I get a...
Somebody got to walk.
We usually give them a list over there, but
Need to see somebody here.
We got the county, school board
And the
master.
It makes sense, but it's just walking to the jail part. You know what I mean?
It's a visitation.
again, what I'd like to do is we'll print y'all copies of this in color and just give it to you, and just when you have time and you want to look at it, do and think about what's important to you, and then we'll try to build those into budget. Some of the smaller ones, we can go ahead and eat if you want to do that.
But none of this is written in stone.
No, sir, and the design is not. I've had enough calls I've had calls from every one of you, that have got projects that interest you, and it was just time. And then similarly with the fire department issues, what's this going to cost? It was just time to go through that with you, particularly with the discussions about Bankhead and then pressure from other entities about Greenbelt spurs. It was just time to, and for that matter, doing some things on Maple, and it was just kind of time to have this discussion. And so I can tell you, Jim and I have looked at our money. Again, we're very careful. And I don't think anybody can argue that we're not very careful, very good stewards of our money. We try to build things right, we try to build it nice, but we try not to waste it. But you can probably stand right now $3 million, $3.25 million worth of projects now, if you want to do that, and still keep a very healthy reserve. That amount of work will take so long to build that the time we're done with it, you'll be ready to do some more. So that's really kind of the way this works.
The splosh will kind of be back in place by then.
That's right, absolutely.
Then, before we move on.
Yes, sir.
This is the trailhead, right? Erica knows where I'm going.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there, can we add to the list?
Sure you
Of
can.
another project? Or
Sure you can.
Back out again?
You want to go
Okay.
across a bridge?
I want to tie into Oak Mountain Golf. I know George Laness is passionate about this. Maybe I will be at some point, but I still get calls from Oak Mountain Golf, and and Bill Pond is right up the road here. You got hundreds of people that live right in this area. They would love to be able to access the Greenbelt, on the bike. You get on the bike, cross the bypass here, and go down. So anyway, while we're just throwing stuff on.
Well, and I'd rather build the project you just described than this one.
Can I offer some input? We've looked at that a little bit, and because Horsley Mill does have a bridge, there's also an opportunity to go
Yep.
out Horsley Mill and then come back down the bypass, similar to what we did on kind of closer to CVS at the end of the bypass.
Horsley Mill is.
Further up, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like
it's further
right.
up. It's just a safer crossing of the bypass.
Right.
And you're right, the reason we were so attracted to it when we were looking at it initially was the number of residential units you'd be tying into the Mill Pond and Oak
That's half my
Mountain.
constituents in those two neighborhoods.
No argument here. I think it's a good spur.
There's also that corner is a commercial corner at Old Noonan and Bypass. At some point, I bet that gets developed. I think the owner of the golf course owns it now, don't they, John?
Yeah.
So it may, for the foreseeable
Right.
future, just stay the way it is, but at some point, you could see some sort of neighborhood kind of commercial piece on that corner.
It's just a gas pipeline easement going across it right in front to keep everything messed up.
Yeah, so,
Well, again, there's nothing magic about any of these. It doesn't mean you don't have other projects you'd like to add to it. We just wanted to get some numbers in front of you. Again, not asking you for any decision right now, but we also wanted you to know what you could afford right now.
I really like this, not just one at a time, this longer term planning, because that's what this amounts to. It's
Right.
not just jumping into one
We
thing.
don't need to react. We need to plan and plan our work our plan.
I like it.
So,
We're also owed some money, just want you to know, and we'll get it. FEMA owes us what, $800,000.
That can go towards these projects, right?
It can, yes, sir.
Now, when do we prioritize these? Because I'm sure I feel that the ones in my ward are equally as important as the ones that are.
This is what I'm used to seeing, is that everybody gets something.
Okay.
You know, we do a project in your ward, we do a project in Jim's ward, we do a project in Matt's ward, we do a project in Roy's ward. That's what I would say. If your project's half the price of the others, maybe we do 2 over there with you. I would tell you, this does not impact NSP at all. That NSP money is totally independent of this, and it can only be spent in your ward. So those are projects coming your way also.
Okay.
Tim, did you say basically we had 3.5 million?
Probably
we
3 and
can-
a quarter you can
3 and a quarter
spend
we
right
can
now.
spend.
Yes, sir.
And what was that bankhead dollar amount?
About that.
About that.
But that's
Perfect.
present day.
Yeah,
There's
it
still
is.
a good bit of planning that would need and engineering work and stuff that would need, and we're not ready to,
Jump on it.
right.
No, but again, if you decide you want to go forward with that project, start it and move. But again, I think this group of people have proven we know how to build things, we know how to build it right, we know how to plan it, we know how to deal with the public. That last statement's not always pleasant, but we know how to do it, you know, and if you want to do it, we've moved forward. It's something we've talked about a lot, and I saw this in my old job when I worked for the Water Authority in Douglasville. The size that we are, we can only handle so much work, so that keeps us from overspending. We don't go out and hire big engineering firms and let them handle our jobs and pay them a percentage. And so we always got something going, it's always something good, and everybody's excited about it, but we're not overstaffed, and it takes a little time, and it keeps us from spending more than we need to spend. And if you don't want to do any of them, it's okay. I need to do the storm drain.
Tim, I don't want to dwell on this too much.
Yes, sir.
I've just been running the numbers. If we do the Dixie Street stormwater, you said we need to do that. It sounds like Central High Road sidewalk needs to be done.
Yes, sir.
I'm at 290 plus the stuff, the items we need to do for the fire department, which I think is 200. So that's already almost 500,000. So you're saying we have 3 and a quarter. We really don't have 3 and a quarter. We're down to.
No, but I can tell you, if you decide to do bankhead time, you get it designed, you'll have that $500,000 back.
Okay.
And then we're owed, again, about 800,000 from FEMA. We're owed, we accounted before we said 3 and a quarter that we got to pay for a fire station. We did not account for insurance money to go toward that. So we've taken a very, very conservative view of this. So you really do have 3 and a quarter you could put toward.
Okay, I just wanted to, all right.
But also, we need to build a new fire station on 27.
Yeah, but I'd do that with SPLOST. I would get the land now, and when I say now, in the next year and a half, I mean, you know the spots, you know the land around here better than I do. You're already thinking of the same spots we are. Some of them we've talked to the owners, because it's guys we deal with all the time. But I would build a station with SPLOST. When will we see that money, Jim? 2021? It's just not that far away.
Probably start working on the new list with the county probably in the next 18 months to 2 years.
Oh, I don't mean to keep, I feel like I'm pushing you, and I don't mean to do you that way, but the next thing we need to do is an executive session. We need to talk about the potential for 1 property sale and 2 area property purchases. We will come back in here for you to actually vote if you choose to vote on that. But we'll go downstairs to the 7th floor conference room for the executive session.
Do we have a motion?
Motion. So moved.
That's first and second.
Second.
First and second, all in favor. Going. So I'll make a motion, we get, come out,
I might go back in there.
go back to open session, excuse me, my tongue's getting twisted up.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Now we circulate this before we do anything else, right? Okay, good.
Bunch of doctors. I will, but, you know, I don't need to stamp it.
We can do it.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think that's gone.
Did you sign that?
He did.
He did.
Okay, thank you.
He's got a worse signature than mine. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I move to authorize the city manager with the acquisition of 158 Nazir Lane, 202 Nazir Lane, 153 Nazir Lane, 124 Nazir Lane, 109 Brixton Circle, all 5 properties located in Carrollton.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. All opposed?
Next one. Okay, I move we authorize City Manager Tim Grizzle to begin negotiations for the acquisition of property on 903 Alabama Street and 925 Alabama Street.
Have a motion. Do I have a second? Have a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, ready to vote. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Any more business come before this meeting? Body? Have a motion, we adjourn. Thank you.